following story is based on a true event. Some portions have been fictionalized in order to fit the narrative of some side events that occurred during the main event and my OC lore. With that being said, I hope you all enjoy the video. Be strong, stay positive, and God bless. The Legendary Game. December 9th. For many, it symbolizes 16 days until Christmas. 16 days until St. Nicholas himself and us blue and white angels deliver gifts to the many good children of the world. And in 2023, we sure were preparing those gifts once again. Yet two major junior hockey teams in a league known as the Ontario Hockey League were about to bring us one of their own. One wrapped in blue, red, white, yellow, and black wrapping paper. Little did we know when we opened it, like kids opening gifts on Christmas Day, we were left with a game we'll always cherish. The night before, the two teams, the Kitchener Rangers and the Brantford Bulldogs, played the first half of a home-and-home series. I was cosplaying as the Mario movie version of Princess Peach, a figure Nickel Peach took inspiration from to improve his bravery. We snapped photos left, right, and center. Nicholina looked fantastic. We giggled at certain poses he did, replicating the ones Peach made in the movie, especially the triumphant fists and the shocked face. He strolled throughout the palace, flicking his wig back and making his best Peach impersonation to the servants. And they got a good giggle or two out of it. Seeing Nicholina that way was a huge boost of confidence. Knowing she took the chance with cosplaying as Mario movie Peach showed not only how much I loved her, but how the three of us did as a whole. And speaking of the three of us, Nicholina took the time to share a portrait they made of the three of us while we took a break from taking pictures. It was absolutely magnificent, and displayed us with absolute brilliance to the angels we are. Even with me blushing. All the while, we followed the Bulldogs and Rangers online. The Dogs were pulling away, and it looked like the OHL's best team was going to get squashed. When we finished the photo shoot and Nicholina got rechanged, the Bulldogs had a 5-1 lead heading into the third period. Now maybe I think of it, that must have been a sign of bad luck. The Rangers fought back as we continued to follow along. And they got as close as 5-3 when we decided to go through the photos we took. After we were finished, the game had ended. But the Rangers, they had completed the comeback! A 6-5 overtime victory, despite trailing 5-1 going into the third period. I felt a little embarrassed about that. Maybe I should have kept that cosplay on until the game was over. Even then, the Rangers showed why they were the best OHL team up to that point. Plus, Nicholina had cheered for the Rangers all his life. Kitchener is what got us started with watching junior hockey. Seeing these young teens develop into the future NHL stars they are now while we were growing up. Last time Nicholina stepped foot inside an OHL game prior to 2023 was December 9th, 2011, at the Rangers' home barn, the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. The Bulldogs' home barn, however, is our favorite local arena, the Brantford Civic Center. We went there once before, on Ira, Daisy, and I's first anniversary. Yet the Dogs got mangled by the Peterborough Petes, especially in that first period. It was the first OHL game Nickel, Daisy, and I attended, but Nicholina's first since the previously mentioned December 9th, 2011 game in Kitchener. How on earth did we not realize that this game marked 12 years to the day since then? I didn't realize that either. But yet, we were gonna make it happen. We brought my mother along for the game, as she was the one who got us the tickets. We went to the Boston Pizza across the road from the arena before the game, and had our dinner there. We all were gonna share a pizza like we always did. Yet Nicholina, she had the bright idea to try fettuccine alfredo, just like his mother always had. So Nickel, Peach, and I tried it for ourselves, and let me tell you, it was better than we originally thought. Nicholina wanted to try it for quite some time, so we followed along and got our own plates of it. Definitely not the best pasta I've had, but it does the trick no less. Our stomachs were full after that. No questions asked. So no food for us required when we headed for the Civic Center. Once there, we found our seats and got a great view of the rink for warm-ups, right near the visitors' bench. However, at the midway point of warm-ups, we realized that we were in the wrong section of seats. We were approached by the people who actually had those seats in that section, and we mistook that section for the one we were actually in. Embarrassing as it was, we didn't have to go too far to find our actual seats, and still had a spectacular view of the rink. Warm-ups wrapped up, and not long before team intros, I had to go to the bathroom pretty bad. But in a packed arena, it's super difficult to move around, which did annoy me a little bit. Took him around, I'm gonna say 5 to 10 minutes. But he was back in time for the team intros. Poked a little fun at him for taking that long, which he just laughed off. Before we knew it, we were screaming our heads off as the teams took to the ice and stood at attention as all Canada played. From the opening face-off, the energy was high. There wasn't many shots on goal to start, so it had a playoff game-like feel to it, even though it was close to the halfway point of the regular season. The scoreless deadlock was broken just before the halfway mark of the opening period by the Bulldogs, when Nick Lardis scored after an offensive zone face-off. The Rangers just left him way too wide open. Give him that much time and space, like Austin Matthews, and he'll make you pay. We sat back comfortably as the next couple minutes went along. Then, Bulldogs defenseman Noah Roberts got his stick up and clipped a Ranger in the face. It was reviewed for a 5-minute major penalty, which we were nervous about, especially me. I couldn't stop shaking. But it was ruled a double minor, and we all breathed a sigh of relief. However, our nerves were tested as the Rangers put a few shots on net, a few of which resulted in blocks. And when it looked like we were going to kill it off, a scramble in front of the net ensued, and Rangers forward Matthew Sopp popped it into the back of the net to tie the game. The rest of the period was uneventful, and we decided to head to the mini Bulldogs shop set up in the Civic Center concourse right by the pizza stand. We didn't go nuts with what we bought, But I got myself a yellow Bulldogs beanie, Nickel Daisy got himself a Bulldogs cap, and Nickel Peach got himself a t-shirt with a silhouette of the Civic Center on it. Before we checked out our souvenirs, Solakeen's bestie, Athena Shinzo, messaged us showing the outfit her twin sister Aphrodite wore during Splatoween, which resembled that of a ghost from Japanese folklore. And those boots? We couldn't see them well, but they looked like a fusion between a boot and a high heel. There should be a fashion show displaying those now that I think of it. Just after the second period began, Nicholina showed a post they made saying how proud they were of making a portrait for Ira, Daisy, and I's first anniversary, with Lyra and I adding on that we also really enjoyed it. Honestly, looking back on it, definitely one of the best art pieces I've ever seen. Back to the game itself, the first half of the second period was uneventful, but the Bulldogs lagged behind in shots. The Rangers were looking like the ones that played the night before, getting quite a few chances. Soon, it would pay off. With under 8 minutes left in the second period, defenseman Matthew Andonovsky snapped a wicked shot from just inside the blue line to give the Rangers the lead. But they weren't done. They would strike again 48 seconds later, when Bulldogs defenseman Lucas Moore turned the puck over right in front of his own net. Rangers defenseman Justin Bottineau stole it and went blocker side to make it 3-1. My sisters and I were facepalming after that goal. It's bad enough to give away possession, but when that results in points for the other team, you don't know how significant that can be. You thought that was cringe, Nicholina? The goal after that was ridiculous too. Just a couple minutes later, Rangers forward Luca Romano fired a shot from in between the two face-off circles. It bounced off the boards, off of Lucas Moore's skate, into the net. I shouted, "Are you kidding me?" That was the second time the Bulldogs got scored on as a result of Lucas Moore. That's completely bullcrap. We all got quite nervous after that, and it felt like the October 13th game all over again. Only this time it was the second period that was biting the Bulldogs. But Nicholina's mother told us to relax, and that there was still plenty of time left. Trust me, even though she isn't technically Nickel Daisy and I's mother too, we still treat her like one. With around a minute to go in the period, a puck flew over the glass towards our section. Nickel Daisy and Nickel Peach both reached out to catch it, but didn't, as it landed in the row right in front of us. We were all shocked, but laughed it off pretty quick, even interacting with an old-timer about the puck. When the period ended, I offered to get drinks, which everyone agreed to. Diet Pepsis for Nickel Peach and I, Pepsi Zero Sugar for Nicholina, and a Pepsi for Nicholina's mother. As soon as I got back, Nicholina started chatting with his mother about the game the night before, where the Rangers had been in the exact position as the Bulldogs were then. We chimed in with a preseason game in which the Bulldogs were in a similar situation that the two teams played, with the same score. Only that time, the Rangers' fourth goal came near the midway point of the third period. They came back and won the game in a shootout, which honestly was amazing. And I remember vividly saying, if the Bulldogs pull this off here, I swear. Nicholina and Nickel-Daisy believed my vision, and soon we were ready to get back to the game. Little did we know what was going to come. The third period got underway, and off the bat, the Bulldogs came out firing, with 2 great chances coming in the first 3.5 minutes. Then just under a minute later on the power play, Bulldogs forward Patrick Thomas found Nick Lourdes wide open once again. And he blasted it. And I mean blasted it. In between the legs of Rangers goalie Tristan Malbuff for his second goal of the night, and to cut the deficit in half. Boy, we were pumped, and so was Nick Lourdes, thrusting his arms to the side and smacking the glass in front of our section. I said, "That's 1 to them." It was only the beginning, though. Took under 4 minutes to get the next one, and again, Nick Lourdes was left open in front of the net, while Patrick Thomas was surrounded by 4 Rangers. Lourdes' original shot was stopped by Tristan Malbuff, but it disappeared into his equipment for a moment. Then it bounced out, and Patrick Thomas pulled an abracadabra by simply shoveling it into the net. We screamed like madwomen after the goal, Nicholina being the loudest and saying, "Oh my God, is this really happening?" And trust me, Nicholina, it was. Couldn't be more true than that, Nickel Peach. However, after that goal, I noticed I was starting to lose my voice a little bit. So I spared it for the next couple minutes as the Bulldogs continued to press. Momentum was on their side now. Then just past the halfway point of the period, Bulldogs defenseman Tomas Hamara, a former Kitchener Ranger, found forward Calvin Crombie open near the blue line and sprung him on a breakaway. The initial shot was stopped by Tristan Malbuff, but the same bad luck that struck Lucas Moore struck Rangers defenseman Antonino Pugliese as the puck bounced off his right hand and into the back of the net. The screams from us came again, and the whole arena went nuts as well. They had tied the game. They actually tied it. I was screaming, "I called it! I called it!" as I hugged Nickel-Daisy and looked at Nicholina's mother. We were witnessing history before our very eyes. And the Bulldogs didn't let up. At the start of their next penalty kill, Patrick Thomas, along with fellow forwards Ben Bujold, formed a 2-on-1 chance, with Thomas getting the puck perfectly over to Bujold, who fired it, but Tristan Malbuff kept it out. I really thought the Dogs would take the lead right there, but we were spared our voices. I had the most scratchy throat out of the 3, as Nickel-Daisy and Nickel Peach's throats were beginning to feel the brunt. I also went nuts as I talked with Kestrelina, Luira, and Athena, saying how insane the game was. The energy in the arena was high, the Let's Go Bulldogs chants were in full swing, and the momentum continued in the Bulldogs' favor. All the while, and we didn't notice this, but Nicholina's mother did, there were a few rowdy Bulldogs fans in the section we accidentally sat in for warm-ups. They were confronted by game day staff, and I don't know if this was true, but they were told to leave the arena. And they were quite uncooperative. Oh, what too much to drink you can do to someone. Am I right? Honestly, Thank God we didn't notice. The game was more important, and our eyes were glued to the rink. Things slowed down after the Bulldogs tied the game, but the Rangers were just as slow. It was like an Uno reverse of the second period. We had the feeling that the game needed extra time to complete as time ticked away in the third period. And sure enough, we remained tied as the buzzer sounded, and overtime was needed for a second straight night between the Bulldogs and the Rangers. We were on the edge of our seats for the entire period. It started with the Rangers getting two incredible chances to end it. Especially one where defenseman Hunter Burswevich sprung Matthew Sopp in the offensive zone alone. And we thought right then and there the comeback was all for nothing. But Bulldogs goalie Mateo Drobak, he had other ideas. He stuck his blocker out and denied the chance, with the puck squirting out to Jordan Donovan in the process. That was a close call there. Way too close. But we shouted out to Mateo in recognition of making that save. Goalies are always the last line of defense. And that last line there, it held. Moving forward, face-offs were basically non-existent in overtime. There was only one stoppage in play, and that was for a save in the first minute. It was slow going until around a minute and a half left, when the Bulldogs started to press for the game winner. Nicholina shouted, "Get the hat trick, Nick!" referring to Nick Lourdes. He had the puck in the far corner and centered it in front for Florian Jacki, but he tipped it just wide. The next chance came 20 seconds later, as Jordan Donovan had the puck stripped away by Matthew Sopp, yet he couldn't get it out of his own zone, leading to Donovan having another chance, but being blocked by Hunter Burswevich and being knocked out of the zone. Yet, it didn't go too far. Florian Jacki then pointed off the boards by the timekeeper's box for Nick Lourdes, who circled his way back into the offensive zone. Two Rangers were on him as he sped, both of them taking a swipe at the puck with their sticks. The second swipe attempt, Lourdes snapped the puck, and like a lightning strike, beat Tristan Malbuff blocker side into the net. My sisters and I exploded with the Civic Center. I shouted, "Throw those hats! Throw those hats!" as my sisters and I hugged. At that moment, we didn't care if we lost our voices or not. This was a monumental goal for a monumental game. As the hats rained down and we hugged, I thought, it's the prophecy. Why wouldn't it be? The Bulldogs did it to the Rangers again. And it was revenge for the game the night prior. Pure-hearted revenge. The last laugh. And I spoke it into existence. Me. As soon as the Bulldogs players saluted the crowd, and stars 3 and 2 of the game were announced, Nick Lourdes was named the first star, and when he was named the first star, we shouted as best we could, MVP! After he left the ice, we hugged my mother and all departed the Civic Center, shaking from the incredible emotion we felt. When Nicolina's mother heard us talk, she could tell we needed time to rest our voices. We definitely needed to. We barely spoke on the ride back with the occasional chatter. I couldn't stop crying on the way back. I really couldn't. But I said somewhat quietly, maybe Mario Movie Peach was good luck after all. We decided to cancel the Sunday service in the Blue and White Kingdom so we could rest. But that didn't stop the citizens from coming up to the palace when we woke up the next morning. They cheered as we walked out of the palace doors to greet them. And as best we could, we talked about our experience with the game. It was honestly the loudest I heard them cheer since Nicholina's wedding with Kestrelina. Yet it was just as loud as the Civic Center when Nick Lardis scored the overtime winner. And we actually came out wearing our apparel we got from the game. Little strange. Even on Nickel Peach. But hockey and royalty mix perfectly fine. When the citizens heard of my prediction, they thought right away it must have been the blessing the Bulldogs needed to come back and win. It was more of a spur-of-the-moment prediction, but one which proved to pay big-time dividends. Since that game, we've become Bulldogs fans for life. My hometown squad. The team Brantford needed. The team we needed. The Kitchener Rangers are still our favorite OHL team to this day. But the Brantford Bulldogs will be a very close second. Tied for first, even. We came to junior hockey for the Rangers, but stayed for the Bulldogs. And more than fitting that these two clashed in a game we didn't know we truly needed. And not just a game. The game. The greatest hockey game we've ever been to. Forever known as the legendary game. Let's go, Bulldogs! Let's go, Bulldogs! Let's go, Bulldogs!